Good afternoon, everyone. It's Morrison with our speaker series number 13. And what's a little different today is that I'm at base camp in Strawberry Equine Campground in Kananaskis with Colin Smith, who is with the Land Lovers Association and the Defenders of the Eastern Slopes. And I'm really going to turn this over to Colin for the whole presentation. And I would like him to do the land acknowledgement because he knows more about this land that we're sitting on right tonight than I do. And by the way, we are in a teepee that they built in 3 hours, and it's quite extraordinary. You can see that. And this is where Colin and a group of people are camping out, and he's going to tell you why and why we're here today and why it's so important. And with that, I'll hand it over to Colin Smith. Thanks, Colin.
Thanks, Sally. Could you just turn down your volume so we don't have the echo? Yeah, so thank you very much for having me and coming out to Strawberry Camp. Like Ali said, we are at the Strawberry Equestrian Campground, which is the home base of Strawberry Camp, which is our home base of the Defenders of the Eastern Slopes blockade against the Highwood Clearcut. So we are in the Highwood River Valley, just 30 minutes west of Longview. This is Treaty 7 territory. The Highwood River flows into the Bow River from the headwaters at the Highwood Pass. The first community that it flows through is Eden Valley, which is a Stoney Nakoda Bears Paw community. And so this is the traditional and ancestral territory of the Stoney Nakoda, including Bears Paw, Good Stoney, and Chiniki nations. This land is also home to and the traditional and ancestral territory of the Blackfoot Confederacy, including Kainai, Siksika, and Piikani nations. And the Bow River watershed is also home, and Treaty 7 is also home to the Tsuut'ina, or the Northern Beaver people. And this Highwood River is actually at the confluence with the Bow River and the Highwood River is Alberta's first residential and industrial school, the Dunbow Industrial School. And so at that point of the confluence or close by, there's a memorial marker there for the survivors of residential schools, and that being the first residential school in Alberta. So this river has a long history going back to time immemorial of human existence in and on this landscape, but it also has and many other harms. And yeah, those harms in many ways continue today against First Peoples as well as the land and water. And that is why the Defenders of the Eastern Slopes are out here working to defend the land and water, which I'll tell you more about in a minute. But yeah, are you out of here? Thank you so much for everything.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah. So that's just an example of this Strawberry Camp has been such a good gathering place for community to come out and be on the landscape. Just gonna adjust this a little bit different, so it should be a little more casual, so I'm not staring at my computer all the time. I hope the recording works out well for that. But yeah, that was our friend Corinne, who just left. She spent the night with us last night. We've been here for a month now, just over a month. Camping, we're using the Strawberry Equestrian Campground as a legitimate observation and education camp. There's a long story which I'll get into. We were originally thinking about doing our blockade up near the bridge site, which is what we are on a small microcosm trying to stop, but that would have presented all sorts of logistical and legal challenges. But this campground is 7 kilometers down the road from the proposed clear cut, and we can camp here legitimately and legally, have a comfortable home base to keep an eye on the clear cut as well as the wall that the Defenders of the Eastern Slopes built to stop West Fraser from accessing the area that they need to reinstall the main bridge over the Highwood. But that bridge would also allow them to install 13 more water crossings and bridges up in the Loomis Creek headwaters, which is been originally when Spray Lake Sawmills installed the bridge. They said there was no bull trout in this river, and that's why they didn't need a permit to install the bridge. But the fly fishing community raised the alarm bells and said, we catch bull trout there all the time. So that's basically they should have had a permit. And thanks to the fly fishing community as well as the general community that found out about this in 2013 or 2023. There was immense public pushback, and the Department of Fisheries and Oceans asked or required Spray Lakes, which at the time then sold to West Fraser, to remove that bridge. And why we are here is because the defenders of the Eastern Slopes have been concerned about clear-cut logging for a long time. There is immense impacts on the landscape of clear-cut logging. Oh, nice. Our friends Sarah and Oscar arrived. And they're Chilean leftist revolutionaries who were imprisoned by the Pinochet regime in the 70s and were given asylum here in Canada. And so they are great people. I'm just going to go welcome them. I'll be right back. Hello.
Thanks.
It is being recorded now. So thank you for that patience while we did that interruption. I just want to show you in the teepee we've got these are all of the friends that came out today. It's Sunday, November 16th, I believe. And yeah, it's a beautiful day, but the sun is slowly getting low, and we're in this teepee. And this teepee's here as a gathering place to have conversations about protecting and restoring the Eastern Slopes. But yeah, I was talking about the bridge. So the bridge is why this is the catalyst of why we're here. The defenders of the Eastern Slopes have been looking at logging on the Eastern Slopes and realizing how unsustainable, extractive, industrial, scale clear-cut logging has been going on in these headwaters for 30 years, but really over the last 10 and even 5, it's just really been accelerating, and there's no signs of that stopping. And coupled with the risk of new coal mines on the Eastern Slopes and all of these other cumulative impacts from all these different uses, the defenders of the Eastern Slopes have been looking for ways to take a stand for water, for wilderness, and for the wildlife that call these Eastern Slopes and this land home. And so, there's been this saga of the Highwood clear-cut proposed and the bridge, and that's really how I got involved in this back in 2023. I was full-time caregiving for my grandmother, but looking for ways to get involved, and there was other groups that were organizing around this specific clear-cut. And I had been aware of other clear cuts in the area and how there was some community pushback against them, but things were going ahead. But yeah, I reached out to the organizers of Take a Stand for Kananaskis in mid 2023 and said, how can I help? I'm, concerned citizen. I had started this organization called Land Lovers Network, which was about getting people out on the land to appreciate and discuss how we can change our relationship with the landscape. And yeah, they had a letter writing campaign, but we met up for a beer, and they said, we don't have anybody to do direct action. And I didn't know what to do, but I had been working with Jenny Yeremy, who is here just out visiting the river right now. But we had been doing a letter writing campaign to municipalities, and we got the mayors of Okotoks and High River and others to sign on this letter that was calling for a moratorium. And we had 5 points that we were calling for. It was is and still is a severe drought, and clear cut are drawing out our headwaters in many ways. There was the fact that people have to pay $90 for a conservation pass to visit many places in the Eastern Slopes. Meanwhile, the stumpage fees from clear-cut timber are very low, and certain off-highway vehicle recreation areas like McLean Creek was exempt from this conservation pass, which is one of the most damaged landscapes from off-highway vehicle use. We had clear evidence that the Indigenous consultation piece of the clear cut approvals was very minimal, if basically nothing. And yeah, we were calling for restoration of our headwaters, and we got good traction with that letter. But letter writing only gets us so far. And so we organized a forest appreciation gathering on the bridge in 2023 on the last Saturday of November before the road closed. And we got 15, 20 people came out. We got a bit of media attention, but it was the first thing that me and Jenny had done together that was out like on out on the land and trying to make a statement or a stand. So that was very much a statement of defense, our first go at it. And at that time, we thought the clear cut was going to happen that winter, like after the road closed. This road that we're on is a wildlife corridor, and it's a wintering range for elk and bighorn sheep, and that's why this road closes to vehicle traffic to protect that wildlife. But West Fraser or Spray Lake Sawmills at the time would have had a key to the gate and been able to come up here with feller bunchers and big equipment to cut down football fields worth of timber every day and haul it out of here during the winter with nobody able to watch, and also during this sensitive time for the wildlife. But anyway, for a variety of reasons, that clear cut did not go ahead that winter, and so that was a small win. And in that time, Spray Lake Sawmills sold to West Fraser in 2023, 2024. And at that time, that's when DFO or the community realized Spray Lakes didn't have a permit to install that bridge. Then they should have had a permit. So it was just basically installed illegally, and DFO made them remove the bridge. So it was removed in the late summer, early fall of 2024. And since then, West Fraser has been working to reapply to reinstall the bridge. So a double injury to the river. The installed during bull trout spawning season in 2023, which creates a lot of sediment and erosion, and that covers up spawning redds where these bull trout eggs are in the gravel and they need oxygen and clean water. But if they get covered by gravel, they basically or by sediment, they basically die. And constructing the bridge would have caused sediment load, as well as removing the bridge, and then this plan to reinstall it. So it's been this ongoing saga. And the defenders of the Eastern Slopes have been um, working together we've done a few protests against coal. We participated in the coal town hall, which I think I saw many of you at in Fort Macleod. That felt like a big watershed moment of all these groups that have been loosely working together, getting to be in the same place in the same time, and call out the bullshit that we were hearing from that stage, from the premier and the energy minister. And I felt like that was a big shift of like, okay, we're actually winning this in a way, or like the tide is shifting. And then Grassy Mountains drilling permit got approved or around the May long weekend of 2025. We organized a protest on the Monday of May long weekend in Blairmore. Um, I think some of you came to that, and yeah, just basically not taking these decisions like from the sidelines and voicing our opposition, but it all felt like not quite enough. And so in August, I wasn't involved in this. I was out of town at the time, but the defenders of the Eastern Slopes organized a quick blockade down in Pelche Creek, which is 10 kilometers north of Coleman on the Forestry Trunk Road in the Old Man headwaters. And West Fraser has been logging extremely hard in that area. And it is, a devastating landscape. It just looks like a war zone of timber and mud and destruction everywhere. And that only lasted for a couple days. It was kind of a flash in the pan. I think the group learned a lot of what works for a blockade, and that you need to be a lot more organized. You can't just announce it a couple days before and hope people show up. Um, and so yeah, but then it happened that I was at a watershed council meeting where it's a WPAC, a Watershed Planning and Advisory Council meeting for the Bow River. And these WPACs are given a mandate from the government to represent the watershed, but be multi-stakeholder and consensus-based, which is their fatal flaw. They include industry, and industry, because it's consensus-based, kind of has a veto and keeps the keeps the advocacy or the pushback against industry to a very minimum. They basically can't criticize clear cutting or coal mining or anything on the landscape because they need to remain neutral. But they do. They host networking meetings and they share information and they do good work. But I was at one of these meetings in late September, early October, and one of those industry people was from West Fraser was there, and also somebody from a couple people from CPAWS who have been over the last 2 years studying Loomis Creek, this watershed where this clear cut is planned to happen or proposed to happen, and it's been clearly documented scientifically that this is critical spawning habitat for bull trout. There's spawning bull trout out there right now, and basically, if this logging happens, it will be degraded habitat. These fish will not be able to survive there, or definitely not in their current condition. And CPAWS was there to tell this story, but also this industry person. And I got there kind of earlier, and we were just having breakfast, and I just asked to the forestry guy, "When's the Highwood Bridge going in?" He said, "Oh, I think it's going in any day now." And that was news to me and to anybody. So I basically just raised the alarm bells, like we need to look into this. This thing that we've been worried about for a long time might be coming to a head. And yeah, we started organizing, and the defenders of the Eastern Slopes decided this is a good place to take a stand. There's been an ongoing fight. People are aware of it. It's got media coverage, and it's on a paved road. Pelche Creek is hard to get to, a bumpy gravel road, far away from most major cities, where this clear cut is in a pristine valley that is on like Kananaskis Highway. It's a beautiful drive. It's but also accessible, and we're familiar with the territory, and we wanted to do something to basically take a stand to not let this bridge get reinstalled. And so we didn't know what we were going to do. We thought we would do a blockade at the bridge, like camp there or do something, but it eventually just came together that we would camp here and build a blockade, and that's what we did. And so on late October, the defenders of the Eastern Slopes built a spiky wall wooden barricade across the access road. It looks quite imposing, and it is a statement of defense against West Fraser's activity in that watershed, but also it's a statement of defense for protecting the entire Eastern Slopes. So this is a place to take a stand, but it's not just this clear cut. This one is, going to be devastating if it does happen. But we want to raise the alarm that this has already happened everywhere, and the only reason they are here is because everywhere else has been logged extensively, and this is kind of the last place to come for a new frontier of timber for a multinational corporation working to make money for its shareholders. So that this company, if they log this specific clear cut, they might make a couple $1 million. The government of Alberta might make a couple $1,000 from the stumpage fees, but the long-term impacts on water and on the fish and on the viewscapes and on all like the other impacts of this clear cut do not equate the value that is created. The short-term value is created for a private for-profit corporation, so we believe that we need to take a stand, and we hope that this action that we're doing, hosting people here at Strawberry Camp in the teepee and the gatherings that we host at the wall as points of solidarity to raise awareness about what's happening on the entire Eastern Slopes. We're using this moment to organize, to get people discussing this, but also propose and draft new policy for protecting and restoring the Eastern Slopes. So our theory and our hope is that this current government is on the back foot and isn't going to last much longer, and there's a large public will that we need to be managing our headwaters for long-term water security and not short-term gain for private corporations. And so, over the next 3 months, we plan on hosting a series of community gatherings, house meetings, community meetings to develop or propose a vision for the Eastern Slopes and refine it to take community feedback about all the nuances that would go into that, so that we have a non-partisan grassroots, people-centered, future vision for protecting these headwaters for the future prosperity of all Albertans. So that's why we're here today, and there's so much more to say, but yeah, maybe I'll leave it there, and we can maybe.
Thank you so much, Colin. Just a couple of questions. So if people want to know, we've read your proposals and they're really well thought out and they make sense. And where can people read those if they want more information?
Well, sorry. At the moment, you basically only get them if you're on my email list, but the Defenders of the Eastern Slopes are just about to launch their website. So it will be ABDOES or ABDOS, Defenders of the Eastern Slopes.ca, and there'll be information on the impacts of that are like happening on the Eastern Slopes and pointing towards this policy development plan. But yeah, the other place to get connected is going to saveourslopes.ca, and if you put your name on, fill in the thing. It's currently about coal mining, but that will get you onto the Save Our Slopes mailing list. And that's where over the last couple of weeks I've sent out a few proposals. One of the ones that I'm really trying to get to the ear of municipalities is the idea of the municipalities of Lethbridge and Calgary and even Red Deer working together to buy out the FMAs of the forestry companies as source water protection. So Spray Lake Sawmills was sold to West Fraser for, let's just call it 150 million US dollars. It was a little less than that, but just for simple math. And that was roughly $50 million for the sawmill in Cochrane, which had about 300 jobs, but with downsizing of the large corporate buyout, it's only about 200 jobs or less now, and a lot of subcontractors. And is a big, like the sawmill does have some purpose, but it's, anyway, I won't get it back. But the sawmill, $50 million, and then there's two FMAs that Spray Lakes had. One is the Old Man watershed, which is basically from here south. And the Old Man is very dry. We've all heard about how low the Old Man reservoir is. And that's the drinking water for Lethbridge and many other municipalities. And then the other FMA is the Bow River watershed. So north of Highway 1 is the Ghost, the Red Deer headwaters, and then south is the Elbow, Sheep, and Highwood. We're in Highwood right now. That's all the second FMA, and each of those was basically $50 million worth. And so we have that sale of the company gave us a value of what a private corporation thought this company and these agreements were worth. And so that gives us a price for buying them out. And that is in the big scheme of the city's budgets and the drinking water for those municipalities. The value of that, should be billions of dollars. And so to buy them out for only a few $1 million, to me makes financial sense. We now have new councillors across Alberta, and in Calgary there are quite a few who are ecologically minded and progressive and fiscal conservatives, you could say. All of those things line up to protecting the headwaters. And so that's one of the proposals that I sent out, and that would be something that we would want to work with municipalities to include in the Eastern Slopes Protection and Restoration Act. So right now we're in a public land use zone, which tries to be everything to everybody. That's where oil and gas, grazing, off-highway vehicles, hunting, trapping, logging, all these things can happen in a public land use zone. And all of those things are little incremental damages on the landscape that add up to a lot. Before modern humans arrived here to do industrial activities here, big disturbance on the landscape would have been fire. But that only happened every so often. It was a big disturbance. It happened once, and fish and wildlife evolved to manage that. What fish and wildlife haven't evolved to manage is a lot of death by, basically all these little disturbances add up to species being endangered and a decline of the ecosystems. And so we think public land use zones should switch to headwaters protection zones, and this buyout of FMAs and whatnot has precedent. The city of New York bought up the Hudson Valley headwaters, and it was very polluted and intoxified, and they have since bought it and manage it for source water protection, as well as the city of Vancouver bought all of the forest and the headwaters, bought or manage the headwaters around the Metro Vancouver region, and you can do recreation activities, but you can't drive a 4x4. There's no clear-cut logging. You can't go swimming in the reservoirs, like we can't swim in the Elbow or in the Elbow Reservoir or the Glenmore Reservoir because it's our source water. We should be thinking the same thing upstream. And so those are a couple of the ideas, but over the next couple of weeks and the next few months, we hope to have many conversations with experts and specialists to really like get into the details of what this would look like.
These are really brilliant ideas and initiatives shown and creative that are actually doable when you explain it like that. Just to go back for a second, so can you explain the importance of the cutthroat trout, which are a keystone species, and also explain the importance of the water? I mean, whose drinking water will be affected in the Highwood Pass waters? And what are there other species? Also, this is a wildlife corridor. Cutthroat trout are endangered. They're officially endangered.
Yeah.
And is there any way that people can fight back on those grounds from the laws for fish and wildlife?
Yes. Before we get into like the legal definitions of species at risk, the two in this watershed for fish are bull trout, which is Alberta's provincial fish and has a long spawning cycle, 7 years till it reaches spawning maturity and needs very clear, cool, clean water for survivability, and logging and other uses don't allow for that. And then West Slope cutthroat trout is the other species at risk. But I would just say that those are biological health indicators. They're bioindicators of the health of the watershed. If the fish aren't doing well, then the water's not doing well, and then that means drinking water is not doing well. And so there's a map that I could maybe send it to you after, but it's from Alberta's Native Trout Recovery Program, and it's a map of Alberta, and it shows the Eastern Slopes historical bull trout range, and it's basically all green with a little bit of yellow, like where there's natural places where bull trout aren't as prolific in others, but the historical range basically all green. And then it's the current range, and this is even from 50, it's a 15-year-old map, but it's basically like all red or orange, as in the species are not doing well in these areas. And so that, my partner made a sign for the coal protest that says, when fish die, humans die. And it's, we might not immediately die, but if the fish are gone, that means our river's not doing well, and we might not be very far behind it. And so, I like to think of the indicator of the health of the watershed. But then there's the Federal Species at Risk legislation, or the Species at Risk Act, SARA, SARA, and that act is supposed to exist to regulate industry to not have detrimental impacts on endangered species. But as we know in Alberta, most regulators are captured by industry and government. And so DFO is basically rubber stamping approvals, knowing that activities will degrade endangered species habitat, but there's a certain clause in the act under section 73 that says if the damage to species at risk habitat is incidental to the operation, then the minister can approve it. And that's basically Nigel Banks, environmental law professor at the U of C, tweeted the other day, section 73 is basically like the notwithstanding clause for species at risk, and DFO gets to use it all the time to take away species at risk's rights. And that's what's happening here. So the DFO approved this reinstallation of the bridge, having the proof from CPAWS, eco-hydrology study, that says this is clearly critical bull trout habitat, and that evidence was provided to DFO, and they still made the decision. And so there are people, including the defenders of the Eastern Slopes, looking into legal challenges to basically say the DFO is not upholding the spirit of the legislation, and their approvals are illegal, and are seeking to challenge that in court.
Okay, thank you so much. Just fixing the mic there. So whose water is going to be affected?
Yes, I didn't answer that part of the question. And so I'll start just on the microcosm. So this is the Highwood River. The first impacted community's drinking water is Eden Valley. They're 20 kilometers downstream of here. They're a small First Nation community that gets its drinking water directly from this river. They would also be first impacted by any flood or low flow. I'll just say this river is in its lower 15th percentile of flow, so like very low, like off the charts low already. And that just shows the state of the watershed. Coupled with the health of the fish, things are not looking good. But it's still a beautiful river when you visit it. But yeah, anyway, so Eden Valley, and then it flows through the town of Longview, flows through the town of High River. This is the river, one of the rivers that flooded extensively in 2013 with the 2013 flood that impacted Canmore and the Bow and Elbows. But the Highwood River is why High River flooded so bad. And so then after High River, it basically right away flows into the Bow River. But that's just this one tributary to the Bow or the South Saskatchewan watershed. The South Saskatchewan watershed is synonymous with the area of Treaty 7. So it goes all the way from the U.S. border, from Waterton, all the way to the headwaters of the Red Deer. And that is the South Saskatchewan watershed, and that is the drinking water for the cities of Lethbridge, Calgary, Red Deer, and every small community in between, as well as all of the agriculture, all of the more than human species that also require the river to live. And then that meets with the North Saskatchewan, which flows through Edmonton, which also those headwaters are in the eastern slopes. And that is the drinking water for all of South Saskatchewan, flows into Lake Winnipeg, and all the way to the Hudson's Bay. So the eastern slopes are the headwaters and produce up over 90% of the drinking water for basically the Canadian prairies and parkland. So it's the drinking water for millions of Canadians, not just Albertans. And also our agriculture systems rely on it. Industry is heavily using water for all sorts of purposes. And there's a big focus from the current government on gray infrastructure, building new dams, building reservoirs. But that doesn't solve the problem in our headwaters. And the headwaters are the water factory. There's no water factory in man-made water factory. Every drop of water on Earth comes from nature, and we need to start thinking about these headwaters as the source of those waters and protecting them. There's so much more to say. Yeah.
Thank you so much. This is overwhelming to those of us listening. It's overwhelming. It should be overwhelming to the general public. So every week, Colin and his fellow defenders of the Eastern Slopes have been out here on the in the Strawberry Equine Campground. So Colin, you've got 2 more weeks that you're out here. Can you tell people how to get here, how to find it, that you're welcoming people, and that it's lots of activities are happening, and that you are taking people down to Loomis Creek so they can actually see where the bull trout, the cutthroat trout are spawning, and see this massive, massive range of mountains. When you actually see it, for me, when I saw it 2 weeks ago, it's overwhelming that they could clear cut that amount of mountainside and all the species that will impact, and then the waters that will be clogged up. So can you tell people how they can come down here and what days and times to come down and check it out and talk with you in person?
Yeah. So today is November 16th. This road, as I mentioned, closes on December 1st for wildlife protection, ironically. So we've been here for a month, and we plan on being here for the remaining 2 weeks. And the main times to come for the big community show of solidarity, as well as media attention, is our Saturdays. That is the day that we are encouraging as many people to come out. We've had anywhere from 30 to 50 people in the past Saturdays, and we meet here at Strawberry Camp, and we just hang out. There's always lots of food and soup. We have a pre-wall soup, and then at just before 1, we carpool up to the wall, which is just like a 7-minute drive northwest up towards the Highwood Pass. And we go and park on the side of the road and get to see the the two mountains that will be clear cut, as well as into the valley of Loomis Creek, and it is quite striking when you see it. This is also a very large proposed clear cut compared to others. Yeah, so it is very impactful when you see it. And then we go to the wall, which is another impactful view to gather at the wall. It looks imposing, but it also is beautiful. It's covered in hand-painted bull trout and hand-painted signs that say "Protect the Eastern Slopes. Water is life." And yeah, so it gives this imposing wall a bit of a colorful, um, yeah, a colorful look. And so, yeah, I encourage people to come out on Saturdays, but we're also encouraging people to come out, let us know that you're coming, and you can get in touch with me. I'll have Ali share my email address, but we're encouraging people to come out and join us in this teepee. We want this teepee to be a gathering place to share ideas and discuss the future vision of the Eastern Slopes. And so we're have specifically, and we'll be continuing to specifically invite biologists, experts, community leaders to come out here and discuss what the future of the Eastern Slopes could and should look like. Yeah, and today's a Sunday, so we had 35 plus people here yesterday, but I think there's been 15 or 20 here today already. Yeah, and so the weekends are a good time. You're also encouraged to come and spend the night. There's always at least a couple of us here spending the night, but there's lots of room. You can sleep in the teepee. There's other places to sleep, or you can bring your own tent and camping gear. And yeah, it's just a beautiful time of year. The weather is mild. It feels definitely like a bit of climate change is affecting the weather here. There should be snow on the ground, and it should be pretty consistently frozen here, but it's hovering above zero during the days and just below zero at night. The snow has melted here. It hasn't snowed very much. It's rained more than it's snowed, which rain does seep into the groundwater, but our headwaters are really fueled by snowpack. It's where we build up our water battery, and then that slowly melts in the spring and seeps into the ground and then seeps into the rivers slowly. But clear cuts and other things and climate change make that water either evaporate or run off much quicker and don't seep into the groundwater where it's most valuable. So,
Thank you so much, Colin. We're going to wrap up shortly, but we may come back on and show some photos of the wall that was built. But Colin, what's next for people once this campground is shut down? What do we do, and where should we go, and all those things?
Yeah, good question. There's a lot to come next. There's a lot of work to do on many fronts. Maybe I'll use this time to say that this Eastern Slopes fight is not disconnected from the teacher strike or from the privatization of healthcare or all of these other issues in Alberta and in Canada and in the world. We as the people need to come together and organize for our rights and for the rights of nature and the land and water on which we rely. And we need to push back against corporate interests capturing our regulators and our government who are selling off our future for pennies right out from under us and getting us to pay them back for it. Basically, we could be doing things in a much better way. And just in this moment in Alberta, there's so much good organizing happening, but we've got a long way to go, and we're just getting started. So for the Eastern Slopes, I've mentioned the town halls that we plan on. Our community gatherings that we plan on having to develop policy, but this blockade has the potential to move down to the gate where the road is closed. If West Fraser gives any signs that they are planning on showing up, because they haven't shown up here yet, we don't expect them to show up before the end of November, but we're here every day checking the wall and here to hold the space. But there are plans to move the blockade down the road to continue the statement of defense, but there's many other things to come. Lots of ideas and projects in the works that too much to say here, but please stay tuned. Water is a great organizing principle. We all need clean drinking water, as does nature, and it's really hard to argue that we don't need clean drinking water, and it really breaks down the political divides or the polarization of conservative versus progressive. Water is a great organizing principle, and we're going to use it to change the world, hopefully. So, yeah.
Thank you so very much, Colin, for all this information and the work that you're doing. It's really quite incredible. And if anybody does have a chance to come down in the next 2 Saturdays, I highly recommend it. It's a great time. You're with people who really care, and you're outdoors. It's a win-win formula, and the food is great. And you can give donations to the which organization? Defenders of the Eastern
Yeah,
Slopes?
so the Defenders of the Eastern Slopes website is just getting set up to take donations, and that's where I would encourage donations to go. Those will go towards the legal fight against fighting the species at risk approvals. And then, yeah, Save Our Slopes also has, if you go to saveourslopes.ca and add your name or the slash how to help, there's ways, other ways to support there. Yeah, and I didn't specifically answer how to get here. So this is at Strawberry Equestrian Campground. If you put that in your map, it should take you to a place, like an hour and a half south of Calgary. It's 30 minutes west of Longview. You really can't miss it. It's a paved road all the way here. And yeah, please come to camp.
Thank you. And for those of you who want to contact Colin, you would email land, L-A-N-D, lovers, L-O-V-E-R-S, at Bow Bioregion, BOWBIOREGION.ca for more information. And we're going to wrap that up for now, but we might come back with this with some photos later. Anyways, thank you everyone for viewing this. You'll be able to see it on Alberta Resistance, abresistance.ca on the website within a week. And you can contact Colin for more information. And we will be having Colin on in December or January to answer a proper question and answer series. So thank you so much. It's been really great to come out here, and we're thinking of you all the time and supporting you. And we hope these numbers just continue to skyrocket up there, because as Colin says, this is our future. This is our children's future. And when the water is gone, when the trout are gone, we don't get them back. So thank you very much, everybody, and we'll see you at the next speaker series. Thank you. Bye-bye.
It was great, Colin.